part of the Mystery School Third Eye Horizon TV series. How's everybody going today? Feel free to join the Google Hangouts. There should be links posted around the Third Eye Horizon Facebook page, and if you're a part of it, the Mystery School Third Eye Horizon Facebook group. So today, and again, as we've been researching each week, we've been talking about the Merkaba light body vehicle and researching the mystical Kabbalah book to go back to the roots of the esoteric information on where we believe Merkaba has derived. One of the places, the Hebrews seem to have very intricate esoteric knowledge through the Kabbalah that talks about people researching metaphysical information behind the nature of reality. And we're here to really dig down and figure it out. So for those of you who are watching, there's a PDF link to the Mystical Kabbalah by Don Fortune. This is the book that we'll be reading here today. And feel free to click on it. If you're having any trouble, please shout it out or send us a message in the Facebook group link. Awesome. So in the past, we've had a number of people joining us, so there may be people tuning in as we continue with our class. Because there's nobody here, and usually I'd wait for people to join, but sort of on a time schedule this evening. So I'm going to get started and kick it off from where we left off last week, which was chapter 4. Chapter 4. It's the unwritten Kabbalah. From the point of view from which I approach the Holy Kabbalah, these pages differ so far that I know from that of all other writers on the subject. For me, it is a living system of spiritual development, not a historical curiosity. Few people, even among those interested in occultism, realize that there is an active esoteric tradition in our midst, handed down in private manuscripts and by mouth to ear. Still fewer now, that is the Holy Kabbalah, the mystic system of Israel, which forms its base. But where many, we look for occult inspiration, then to the tradition which gives us the Christ. The interpretation of the Kabbalah, and excuse me for my reading pauses and articulations. Usually there's, more people here to read along. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of pages. I think there's maybe 4 or 5, so can probably hold my breath and punch it out if nobody joins us here. So we're going to continue now. The interpretation of the Kabbalah is not to be found, however, among the rabbis of the outer Israel, who are Hebrews after the flesh, but among these who are the chosen people after the Spirit. In other words, the initiates. Either Neither is the Kabbalah, as I have lent its purely Hebrewic system from it has been supplemented during medieval times by much alchemical lore and by its intimate association with it of that most marvelous system, the Tarot. So excuse me real quick. I would like to close this door. Some pretty intense gaming going on outside by my roommate and his friends. That hopefully has not disturbed anybody. So the tarot, as some will say. In my presentation of the subject, therefore, I do not appeal so much to tradition in support of my views as a modern practice amongst those who make use of Kabbalah as their method of occult technique. It may be aligned amongst me that the ancient rabbis knew nothing of the sort of some of the concepts from set forth. To this I reply that it is hardly to be expected that they should, as these things were not known in their day, but are in the work of their successors of the spiritual Israel. For my part, although I would not willingly mislead anyone concerning the teachings of those ancient days and upon matters of historical accuracy, stand subject to correction from any who are better informed than I am in these matters, and their name is legend. I care not one jolt of authority of tradition if it hampers the free development of a system of which practical value as the Holy Kabbalah, and I use the work from my predecessors as a query where whence I flinch the stone to build my city. Excuse me, I'm going to switch my voice to British interpretation for my entertainment. Hopefully yours. Neither am I limited to this query by any ordinance that I know of, but fence also cedar from Lebanon and gold from Quiro from its suits my purpose. Let it be clearly understood, therefore, that I do not say this is the teachings of the ancient rabbis. Rather, do I say this is the practice of modern Kabbalists, and for us a much more vital matter, for it is a practical system of spiritual development. It is the yoga of the West. Having thus granted myself, as far as possible, against blame for not having done what I never understood to do, let me now define my own position in the matter of scholarship and general qualifications for the task in hand. So far, the actual scholarship goes, I am the same class as William Shakespeare, having little Latin and less Greek, and the Hebrew only that particular proposition which is cultivated by occultists. Hopefully you're enjoying this British voice. The ability to translate unpointed, all right, it's winding it back down to regular voice, Hebrew script for the purposes of grammatic calculations. Of any knowledge of Hebrew as a language, I am guiltless. All right, I'm going to switch it back. Whether such frank acknowledgement of my disfranchisements. All right, I'm not digging it. I'm not digging my own British voice. I'm going to digress here. Maybe I'll think of another dialect to articulate in shortly. Will serve to disarm criticism. I do not know. No doubt it will be aligned against me, and not without justification, that one so ill-equipped should not have undertaken the task at all. To this I reply that if one saw a man lying injured, should the admitted absence of the medical qualification deter one from going to his assistance or giving him what help one could. Pending the arrival of a qualified attention, my work upon the Kabbalah is of the nature of first aid. I find an inevitable system lying neglected and ill-qualified for the task as I may be. I am striving to draw attention to its possibilities and restore it to its proper place in the key to Western occultism. And it is my chief hope that in so doing, that it may attract the attention of scholars, and that they will continue to task the translation and investigation of the Kabbalistic manuscripts, which are as yet a vein of which only the uncroppings have been worked. So take that in for a second. Breathe in through your mouth. Let it out. Lost my page. So that's interesting. So she sees herself more as a first aid coming to Western society with hopes that her information on wisdom can assist society in raising their consciousness. There we go. This is what the book looks like. I'm reading out of the book. Those of you viewing. One qualification for my task that I plead in justification, however, from the last 10 years, I have lived and moved and had my being in the practical Kabbalah. I have used its methods by subjectively and objectively, they're both subjectively and objectively, till they have become a part of myself. And now, from experience, what they yield in psychic and spiritual results, and their incalculable value as a method of using the mind. It is required of those who use the Kabbalah as their yoga that they should acquire any extensive knowledge of the Hebrew language. All they need is to be able to read and write the Hebrew characters. The modern Kabbalah has been pretty thoroughly naturalized in the English language, but it retains and must never retain all of its words of power in Hebrew. All right, British voice wants to come back, I think. Which is the sacred language of the Western? Sanskrit is the sacred language of the East. I don't think I know any other languages. Oh, hey, what's up, man? What's up, Victor?
There we go. Hey guys. Oh, there we go. I had my mic turned down really low.
Okay. Hey, good to see you again this week.
Thanks. Yeah, it's nice to be here.
Cool. So, I sort of had to start the broadcast at a certain time, so sort of kicked it off and started reading. I just read a few pages. We're live on YouTube, so people can view me reading, us reading. So,
Right.
yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I was just myself
So
reading about the Hyats, the angels with the four wings and the four faces. It's very interesting, to say the least.
The
The old Ezekiel story about the flying chariot and the four angels, or the beings like that are like men.
right.
They had four wings each, four faces, so they can move in any direction.
That's fascinating. Have you read the book of Revelations by chance?
Yeah. When I was a kid, I was made to read the Bible at my grandmother's house. So I've read the whole thing probably like 3 times.
Damn.
I used to go there every weekend, and she was pretty adamant about that kind of stuff. Which the Bible is a very good book. Though I'm not Christian, I don't necessarily have a belief system based on it, but there's some really good stuff in there. It's very interesting. Really messed up stuff too. It's insane.
Oh, it's a wealth of conversation.
It is.
Yeah, in the book of Revelations, the beasts seen in Ezekiel's vision are supposedly either similar or the same beings that are in the book of Revelations. There's a couple angels before the throne of God that are different animals, and there's like one that's a guy. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I don't remember
Very.
every detail so long ago, but I do remember the emphasis that they used to teach me about not adding to the book or taking from it, and something else. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's worth another read, even for myself. I'm saying.
Yeah, it sure is.
So we're running on a sort of a tighter schedule this week. I'm actually on my way to see the new film Arrival. Have you heard of that?
No.
Okay, it's about aliens essentially landing on Earth and in these like big motherships.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it looks really good.
I like
they got
things.
Yeah, yeah, and there's all this talk about disclosure, people getting excited, and things coming up. So who knows? You know, they say that use Hollywood to kind of buffer us for real things.
Yeah, I'm hearing things like that. Trying to get us ready. It's coming soon.
Who knows?
I hope it does happen during my generation. Who knows?
Yeah,
I hope so. Though, I mean, you remember the stories from Neil Armstrong and the astronauts that came from the moon, and the conference they had after they came back. I don't know if you ever watched it. They're very like depressed. They had this like slow energy there. It's really weird. They're like, yeah, we're seeing rocks, seeing sand and stuff. Like, they really didn't say anything. But then later on, they come to admit that, like, look, we just got to tell you, we did meet things there, and they like literally threatened us and said, you need to go back down there and stay there. Like, don't ever come to the moon again.
No
Neil
way.
Armstrong, he was one of the people that said it, and I can't remember. There was a couple other astronauts that came forward, but if that is the case, it makes me wonder, like, why, if that happened, why would they not want us there? You know, and what is their purpose next to our planet? You know, it's a lot to
Damn,
think
I've
about.
never heard that, but nothing really surprises me hardly nowadays.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine. He said he did say another thing. He said their ships obviously were much more technologically advanced than our ships. They had us by leaps and bounds in technology, just by the what they would see from their technology. So he was scared when they said, "You go back or else."
Oh, hey, Brittany.
Hi.
Cool. Well, yeah, Victor just showed up, and I'm kind of on a tight schedule. I was saying that I'm about to go see this movie, Arrival. I kind of got to
Okay.
leave by like 8:50, but I started reading. Nobody was signed in yet, so I read a few pages.
What
But
page
we're
are
on
we on?
what's that?
What page are we on right now?
Chapter, or not chapter, page 20. Yeah. Either you guys, if you'd like, I'm basically at the top of the page. So
So number 8.
yeah, which I can just throw out there really brief. The what it talked about the first few pages was just this articulation on the Kabbalah being considered the yoga of the West, and the author saying that her giving us this knowledge is sort of her being a first aid medic, where she's like hoping that this information can assist us essentially in raising our consciousness. Not like a medical professional, she kind of compares it as, but it's like seeing somebody who's wounded on the sidewalk. If do you just like not do anything? You wait for somebody qualified to come. So she's bringing the band-aids, is what she's saying.
Okay.
So page 8 is this the same stuff we were reading last time?
Oh, it's just number 8 on page 20.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I can start off there. You guys can hear me okay?
Yeah. You're awesome.
All right. It says, it is not required of those who would use the Kabbalah as their yoga that they should acquire any extensive knowledge of the Hebrew language. All they need is to be able to read and write the Hebrew characters. Well, the modern Kabbalah has been pretty thoroughly naturalized in the English language, but it retains and must ever retain all its words of power in Hebrew, which is the sacred language of the West, just as Sanskrit is the sacred language of the East. There are those who have objected to the free employment of Sanskrit terms in occult literature, and no doubt they will object even more strongly to the employment of Hebrew characters, but their use is unavoidable, for every letter in Hebrew is also a number, and the numbers to which words add up are not only an important clue to their significance, but can also be used to express the relationships existing between different ideas and potencies. According to McGregor Mathers, in an admirable essay which forms the introduction to this book, the Kabbalah is usually classed under 4 heads: the practical Kabbalah, which deals with talismanic and ceremonial magic; the dogmatic Kabbalah, which consists of the Kabbalistic literature; the literal Kabbalah, which deals with the use of letters and numbers; and the unwritten Kabbalah, which consists of a correct knowledge of the manner in which the symbol systems are arranged on the tree of life. And concerning what McGregor Mathers says, I may say no more on this point, not even whether I myself have or have not received it. But as this pretentious hint is elaborated by the late Miss McGregor Mathers in her introduction to the new edition of this book in the following plain-spoken words. Simultaneously with the publication of the Kabbalah in 1887, he received instructions from his occult teachers to prepare what was eventually to become his esoteric school. It may be justifiable to say... Were you saying something, Nick?
Sorry, just reacting to what you're saying. You can go on.
It may be justifiable to say that if he did not receive the unwritten Kabbalah, it has for some years ceased to be unwritten. For after a quarrel with McGregor Mathers, Aleister Crowley, the well-known author and scholar, published the lot. His books are now rare and hard to come by, and being much valued by the more scholarly of esotericists, the price has gone up and out of sight, and they seldom come into the second-hand book market. Popcorn.
Victor, do you have the PDF from last week by chance?
Yeah, I'm following it as she's reading it, actually. So I have it. You guys want me to read?
Yeah, if you feel up to it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's see. The breaking of an initiation oath is a serious matter, and a thing that I, for my part, do not care to do. But I admit for no authority that debars me from collecting and collating all available material that has been published upon any subject, and interpreting it according to the best of my understanding. In these pages, it is the system given by Crowley, of which I shall avail myself to supplement the points upon which McGregor Mathers, Wynne Westcott, and A.E. Waite, the principal modern authorities upon the Kabbalah, are silent. As to whether I myself have received any knowledge of the unwritten Kabbalah, it would as ill beseem me as McGregor Mathers to be explicit upon this point, and having followed his classic example of burying my head in the sand and waving my tail, I will return to the consideration of the matter in hand. The essence of the unwritten Kabbalah lies in the knowledge of the order in which certain sets of symbols are arranged upon the tree of life. This tree, Atzchim, consists of 10 holy Sephiroth arranged in a particular pattern and connected by lines, which are called the 32 paths of Sephir Yetzirah, or divine emanations. Here there exists one of the blinds, or traps for the uninitiated, in which the ancient rabbis delighted. We find, if we count them, there are 22, not 32 paths upon the tree. But for their purposes, the rabbis treated the 10 Sephiroth themselves as paths, thus misleading the uninitiated. Thus, the first 10 paths of Sephir Yetzirah are assigned to the 10 Sephiroth, and the following 32 to the actual paths themselves. It will then be seen how the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet can be associated with the paths without discrepancy or overlapping. With them also are associated the 22 tetratrums, the Addis, or what is that? Abodes of Thoth. Abodes of Thoth. Concerning the tarot cards, there are 3 modern authorities of note. Dr. Encausse or Pappas, the French writer, Mr. A.E. Waite, and MSS. Of McGregor Mathers' Order of the Golden Dawn, which Crowley published upon his own authority, all 3 are different. Concerning the system Mr. Waite gives, he himself says, there is another method known to initiates, unquote. Wow. There's reason to suppose that this is the method used by Mathers. Pappas disagrees with both these writers in his method. But as his system does violence to many of the correspondences when placed upon the tree, the final test of all systems, and as the Mathers-Crowley system fits admirably, I think we may justly conclude that the latter is the correct traditional order, and I propose to adhere to it in these pages.
I think it's funny that they all disagree because the tree of life is supposed to be, a path to consciousness. So naturally, they would all have different paths. But they're like, no, I'm right.
That's interesting.
That makes sense.
It's really weird. I was recently researching called the unihex. Oh man, what is it called? It's like the unihexagram. No, that's not what it is.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Well, I was researching it, and it was talking about the Golden Dawn that Aleister Crowley pulled that symbol from. So I'm not huge familiar with Aleister Crowley, but I think that's fascinating that he's brought up in this Kabbalah book, because he really shook the metaphysical world in his day from the sounds of it. But yeah, that sounds. I'm gonna have to go back and look some of that stuff over. It was really cool sounding.
Yeah, I've definitely seen this symbol somewhere, but I can't think of where. It looks a lot like the Merkaba,
Yeah,
but different angles.
Yeah, this is it right here.
Okay.
Yeah. So, research about it. It said that it was used to basically contain evil spirits. It was that I wasn't finding all the information. So.
And you said that Aleister Crowley was using that as his symbol?
Yeah, I know. So I haven't heard too great of things about him. But I'm definitely open to learning about him. It's helpful to understand metaphysics better or something.
I guess it's all
okay, well, yeah. So I'm kind of aiming to get off by 8:50. So I know it's really short, unfortunately. But we've been shows around 50 minutes to an hour and 20, kind of on the longer ends. But yeah, I could take over reading. Where do
We're on are we on 13?
I believe so.
And the build solutions upon here. Yeah, I think we're on 13.
Do we have any other thoughts or comments?
Well, I was talking to my boss. She's Hindi, and she reads the Vedic all the time. And I asked her about Merkaba. I said, "Do you know this word? Have you heard it?" And she was like, "I'm not sure." She's like, "Maybe in my language it's something different. It's called something different." I said, "I don't know." So I wrote it out. I gave her the paper, and she looked it up. She was like, "Oh," and she said a word that I've never heard. And she goes, "This is you use meditation for this." And I was like, "Oh, okay." She was like, "Try this," and she told me to close my eyes and let all my thoughts lift like balloons in air and let it go up and up and up and up. Then she said, envision a flame in front of me and that you watch it flicker and move. And she said, while you concentrate on the flame, try to be one with it, and she was going through a pretty keen explanation. And it was very, very awesome, relaxing meditation. We were at work just meditating, her and a couple employees, and that she was trying to guide through this meditation. It was a pretty good time. But yeah, that was something that happened recently that I thought I would share. It was pretty fun. Just random work meditation. She didn't really explain much. She just said that Merkaba is trying to use your third eye to meditate. That's as simple as she made it. So that's all she knew about it.
Okay. I mean, it does. That's part of it for sure. That's fascinating, though. Do you remember? Do you recall what it was called? The name that she used?
No, I should have wrote it down, but I'm sure I'm going to talk to her about it again. I like to hear her input on things concerning things concerning the Vedic. She's usually pretty well read on it.
Mm.
I've talked to quite a few Krishnas and not Krishna, yeah, and they used to tell me stories that were really fascinating. I used to work at GameStop for like 9 years as a manager. And this one guy used to come into one of my stores all the time, and he was like ordered by his psychologist to not, you know, spend too much time outside and go places you feel safe because he was schizophrenic, and he was Krishna, and he used to tell me all these fascinating stories from the book, and it made me really want to get a copy of the Vedic. It seems like there's a lot. There's a lot there to read, and some things that are you can take certain ways, like he's talking about like spaceships and stuff like that. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I gotta hear this. He's like, yeah, they came down in chariots from the sky, and so on and so forth. It's like, oh wow. And then they had another name for these flying machines that the gods came down on. I just don't remember what it is right now, but the Vedic is something I'm definitely gonna have to get a copy of.
Yeah, that's awesome. I definitely have heard equals from the sky. Okay, cool. I'm gonna kick it at then on 22. Yeah, I apologize for kind of rushing a little bit. Brittany, I almost contacted you before the broadcast to see if you could start the recording because I gotta go kind of shorter than usual. But I didn't know if I could explain the process quickly enough.
I meant to be here earlier. I'm just feeling a little bit punky.
Feeling funky?
That's what my mom used to say, punky.
Punky. What is feeling punky? Is it like feeling blah?
Like you're like sick.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That sucks. I'm sorry.
it's okay. I feel a lot better. Well, I was starting to feel a lot better, and then I showed up to Dr. Bob's, and this lady was doing a class on herbs, and I made like the last 20 minutes of it, and she's like, here, drink this, it'll clean out your colon, but now I just feel nauseous.
Oh,
Oh,
no. That's so funny.
Don't go towards the light. Okay. So 13, the Kabbalistic further placed upon the path of the tree the sign of the zodiac and planets and the elements. Now the 12 signs, 7 planets, 4 elements, making 23 symbols in all. How are these to be fitted onto the new 20? Herein is another blind, but the solution is simple. Upon the physical plane, we are ourselves in the element of earth. Therefore, the symbol does not appear upon the paths which lead into the unseen. Remove this, and we are left with the 22 symbols, which fit accurately and correctly placed. Are found to correspond perfectly with the tarot trumps, each in elucidating the other in the most remarkable fashion and giving the keys to esoteric astrology and tarot divination. The essence of the path is to be found on the fact that the connections of the two to the sphere. Not sure. How do you guys think that's pronounced?
Sephiroth.
Yeah. And we can only understand the significance by taking into account the nature of the linked spheres into the tree. But a Sephiroth cannot be understood upon a single plane. It is the fourfold nature. The Kabbalists express this by saying that there are 4 worlds. At Duluth, the archetypal world and world of emanations.
Emanations.
Emanations, yeah, forgive me. The divine world. Brach, the world of creation, also called Kirishia, the world of thrones. Yetzirtha, the world of formation of the angels. Asya, the world of action, the world of matter. See McGregor Mathers, the Kabbalah Unveiled. That might be another good one. So
that's awesome. I've actually heard a little about the 4 worlds. It's pretty cool.
I don't think I've heard of that.
I mean, it sounds like familiar. I know I've heard about this.
Was it westernized like this?
It's very vague.
Okay.
Yeah, I just remember hearing about the worlds of that create up existence, which could be thought of like dimensional. I don't know if you want to make something like tangible out of it, out of the idea.
Maybe something to research and come back with next week.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear more about it.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, on that note, even Brittany, I think it's time for me to leave. I really wish I got deeper. So we're gonna have to end the broadcast, viewers. But definitely those of us on, feel free to stick around and talk after the broadcast. And yeah, let's try and take those pages in before next week, and we can, I don't know, see how it is between us. Maybe we can read a few pages. There's only a few pages left to chapter 5, and kick it at 5. If not, we might go back maybe next week. But yeah, it's the arrival. It's about motherships landing on Earth. Have you heard of that, Brittany?
What's up?
It's about UFOs making contact with humans on Earth, and I really actually don't know the dialogue or the plot very well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anything with motherships and aliens, I'm all about. That sounds fun.
But Happy Moon, I think it's the largest super full moon in like a super long time. I don't know the time span, that has passed since there's been one this big, but it's supposedly kind of a biggish deal. So
it's funny. I went and looked at it. It's very bright, but
yeah.
I've seen it much bigger.
Yeah.
Like when they say the supermoon, I'm like, it's really not that big. I've seen such bigger moons.
Sometimes it's really big at like 3:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah. Be sticking out of the side of the planet like.
Yeah.
This one interesting. But I just want to thank you guys for hopping on this. Brittany and I should talk about if this is to happen in the future. Maybe we can coordinate it so you can continue to broadcast and me tag out with you and you run with it.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, yeah, cut a little short, but This is a deep book, and it's definitely not one to just quickly breeze over, feels like. Speaking of which, here's Breezy.
It is. It was actually the section we covered, as short as it was actually very cool, and it's inspired me to look more into that because this is something that I think it would be really awesome to look into. The different worlds that make up the fabric of reality.
Yeah, no kidding. Very goes into the whole concept of Merkaba, of the multi-dimensional reality,
Yeah.
Think multi-dimensionally. So hey, did we stop broadcasting?